Hey everybody, this is my 10th and final reading artifact. So I'm going to be talking today about the article Making a Case for Rhetorical Grammar, which is written by Laura Misici. Again, butchering a name. I apologize for that. Anyhow, the reason why I chose this is, if you have seen my previous reading artifact, is really my struggle with how to deal with grammar in a classroom, and particularly with grading and making sure that I'm not too heavy-handed with it, because of things like access and issues with like the metaphor of the steep steps, and making sure that everybody is able to, if an argument is good, well, it's kind of harder to accomplish than knowing where to put your, your nouns and your verbs and your independent clauses and commas and nonsense like that. So, anyhow, I'm going to start out by, I'm probably going to read a lot more from this one, because I know not everybody this was one of those articles that we didn't necessarily, we could pick what we wanted to, and this was the one that I picked, so not everybody may have read this one. Anyhow, so on 717, in the paragraph that kind of starts out with my aim, which looks like her thesis paragraph, if you will. Kind of towards the middle, I'll start out there. It says, the absence of a sustained contemporary conversation about grammar instruction at the college level does not eclipse the practical reality that nearly every writing teacher struggles with at one time or another: how to teach students to communicate effectively. And effective communication, which entails grammar knowledge, is essential to achieve many goals, or many of the goals regularly articulated in composition studies. Chief among them are teaching students to produce effective writing that has some relevancy to the world we live in, to see language as having an empowering and sometimes transformative potential, and to critique normalizing discourses that conceal oppressive functions. Sorry, I know that's kind of long, but if you get the article, follow along, pause it or something, so that you could, really look at that particular one if you need to. Anyhow, so I really like the impulse here on how to integrate grammar into the composition classes. And I love the acknowledgement that this is something that composition teachers, really struggle with, and it's something that needs to be addressed. We need to talk about this, because we still live in a society where, if you apply for a job, you hand in your CV or your resume and your cover letter and all that kind of good jazz. And if the HR person, who is probably an English major or a former English major, they're going to look at your resume, and if you've got all sorts of errors and whatnot, you're not going to make it to the next round. That person is kind of like the gatekeeper, and usually grammar is kind of like the key to get you through. And so, when I think about things like that, that was, or I should say that as a middle school and high school teacher, it was one of the reasons why I tried to get my students to understand how to write effectively, how to use grammar, to know the rules and how to break them for a purpose. And so, I'm trying to prepare them for a discriminating workforce, and for the college professors that they would encounter, who would expect you to have good grammar. And anyhow, and again, even thinking as an English teacher, it's something we have to teach every year. It's like nobody ever gets it, and it's something that even as an English major, you have to kind of revisit things. Just to make sure, I still have to look up various rules to make sure that I'm getting it right. And so, anyhow, I really appreciated how the author is really pushing for acknowledgement of the struggle that we all go through, and also to show how using the method of rhetorical grammar in the classroom is a way to show the how writers achieve persuasion, or things like affect the mood based on the structure, the sentence structure, or the word choices, or the punctuation that they use. And I feel like this is something, as a creative writer, that I'm quite aware of, but student writers are not always aware of that. So anyhow, kind of moving forward, I'm over now on page 721, with another great quote in the middle full paragraph. It says, when we broaden the goals of rhetorical grammar, it's possible to see how the intimate study of language it encourages has enormous potential for studying language as central to constructions of identity and culture. Rhetorical grammar enables such readings because it is grammar in the service of rhetoric, which means that grammar is never divorced from ideological functions. And so once again, when you're reading through this this particular article, it is really all about how it's I was trying to explain it to somebody else. It's kind of like close readings and rhetorical analysis had a baby called rhetorical grammar, where you really, you kind of dive in and you look at the constructions, as one of the examples does. It's later on, around 726, where a student looks at To Kill a Mockingbird and Atticus's cross-examination or examination of Mr. Ewell, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, where he says, Mr. Ewell, you ran to the house, you ran to the window, you ran inside, you ran to Mayella, you ran for Mr. Tate. Did you, during all this running, run for a doctor? And so in that particular example that they use in the text, the student was analyzing, the effect of using you ran from here to there, you ran to do this, you ran to do that. And the student was able to see, by reflecting on that passage, the effect of that writing, of that choice to write the sentences that way. And so and then the student the next part of that assignment was not just a reflection, but then to mimic that in some way that was meaningful for the student, for them to practice, not in the exact same way, but to use that type of concept for their own writing. So it's not just, it's reflection and practice. And so yeah, I thought that was great, to be able to, look at a sentence and see how using a subordinating clause affects the meaning of a sentence. When you have, what happens when you subordinate one idea to another, and how does that affect the argument? How does that affect the mood of things? Or if you're in a story, why would an author choose to do that? And anyhow, and so, like I said, I really appreciated this push to do that, to look more at the effects of writing and the effects of grammar, rather than just all the rules. Now, the thing is that you still need to know the rules. You still need to know, how to construct the sentences and the proper grammatical way to do that. And you have to have kind of like some of that knowledge to be able to to still do some of the rhetorical grammar. And so I don't know. I still have questions. I mean, are we supposed to throw the baby out with the bathwater? You know, my husband is Latino, and he's always talking about how in Spain there is, and I've completely forgotten. Once again, I tell you, I can't keep things in my brain. I'm just so tired. There is, you know, kind of like almost like a governing body for the Spanish language, and you know, where they kind of like house the rules and dictionaries and, you know, things of that nature. And you know, I don't know, it's like a standardization type of thing. And so I'm just not sure how that works with us as English speakers, because I kind of feel like we can't throw away the entire structure. We can't ignore the entire structure of the language, because, you know, the structure of the language helps us understand one another. But then on the other hand, we're told as writing teachers that you know, grammar is not necessarily something that we really need to worry about, when it actually in many ways helps us understand what that particular writer, when they follow the conventions, like the most basic conventions, what they're doing. And so I'm just, like I said, this is one of those videos of, I don't know what to kind of make of certain things, because I kind of go back and forth. Yeah, so if you have any ideas on that, shoot them my way, please, because I'm still kind of like out in left field somewhere about what to do with it. And hopefully I will be able to maybe take a little bit of time this semester or this summer and explore some of those things and kind of do my own research on it to see and then, you know, form that opinion myself. But I think that this is a great tool to use to that end. I think that you know, there's a lot of great ideas in this particular article. It's just, how do you deal with the actual part of, you know, needing to make sure that your students know how to use grammar, or that they are using grammar effectively in their papers. So anyhow, there we go. It's my last one. I hope you guys enjoyed and understood my ramblings with these little videos. I had a lot of fun doing them. I think they're a lot cooler. It's a lot easier for me to talk to you guys this way than sometimes to write it down, even though I tend to wander. It's nice exercise to be able to try to do. So I encourage you guys to do the like the video journals, like the ones I'm doing. So I will be posting the links in the forum, or this discussion post. And hope you guys have a great summer. I know I'll see a lot of you either during, you know, my summer class or in the fall. And stay safe and stay healthy. Bye.